Hi everyone, the Lone Wolf here, and welcome to EVE Talk, your weekly look at the market in EVE Online. Now, the new EVE Online trailer is out. If you haven't seen it yet, you have to check it out. It's awesome. It's got Rooks and Kings in there, it's got Johnny Pugh in there, it's got Magnasis Drakenwolf in there, and it's exploding on Reddit as well. So it's finally a game advertising done right. CCP really embracing the content creators, whether they're in-game or out of game. And yeah, using that momentum to make an awesome trailer, which I think is going to be pretty damn successful. So that was an awesome thing to wake up to and see in my subscription box, the new trailer for EVE Online. Awesome stuff. Really, I was very impressed by the entire trailer there. I've got goosebumps right now. But we are here for the market. And we are going to start off straight into the bad news, which is that plex have gone up quite significantly. So I'll write down just 1 minute for that. 100. And as you can see, plex have gone up to like 962, 963 million ISK right here. If I go for the 1 month chart, you can see it taking off pretty steeply. About a week ago, from 860, which was already a high point, now up to 960. From the chart, it looks like it's going straight up, but it actually hit 1 billion at a point. 1 billion for a plex, that's the highest it's ever been. And there is still some time before the rare release, so I do think that there is still some time before a plex sale might come out to change this momentum. And so unless CCP decides to step in here and like unload a bunch of plex from banned accounts, or if the if central bank decides to print some plex, which they actually have the power to do, this is going to continue to go up, and I would not be surprised if we see the chart actually break 1 billion by next week, and if we see plexes stay there for a little bit until the rare release. This is really yeah, quite steep, but this is just the market in my opinion. I don't think that it is completely out of bounds to expect plex to actually continue to rise. Sure, they may take a dip if they get a big plex sale and a lot of people coming to the game with the rare release, but yeah, honestly, everyone wants a plex, of course, and as cheaply as possible, so that pressure is huge for the price of plex. It's become a lot easier to make money in EVE Online. We've got the incursions, we've got missioners that are probably printing a lot of the ISK at the moment, and then we've got people that get into professions a lot more quickly, like exploration, which can now be very lucrative, and is now even more lucrative with the nullsec sites in wormhole space. And of course, you've got YouTubers like Johnny Pugh, like myself maybe, that spread the word around about how they're making money, about how they increase their efficiency in earning money, and all of this is actually probably helping putting upwards pressure on the price for plex. And at the moment, yeah, you've got to count almost 1 billion ISK for a month subscription. Can you make $1 billion in 1 month? Yeah, for someone like me, it's actually not really a problem. I understand that for other people, it's a bigger challenge to actually get there. But yeah, I don't think it's that unrealistic either. So there are definitely two camps when plex hit 1 billion. You know, I followed some Reddit threads on that. There are two camps in this. There are people that expect a big crash, with people that will unload all of their reserves, try and make some money. And there are others that think that nope, actually plex are in for even higher prices. The steady increase in price is not done just yet. They think that plex have actually been undervalued for a very long period of time, and that only now they're coming into a more normal price range. And I think there's points to be made for both of them. What it depends on are some numbers that we don't have, stuff like how many plex are actually in possession by people and not on the market. Something like that is a huge yeah, part of the information you need to know whether or not it's a bubble or if this is a new normal price. What is definitely true is that the supply of plex has gone down, and this has increased the price of plex pretty substantially. You know, the plex is on the market, but yeah, a big question is of course how many plex do people hold in their hangars at the moment, and if they all unloaded that, how big of an impact would that be on the game? Or are there more people that don't use these as investments but use them to train secondary characters, to keep their accounts going, maybe to convert it to Aurum and buy some of that new swag that's coming out as well? You know, all of those pirate goodies that will be coming in the re-release are actually going to increase the pressure on Plex. And I used to be a bubble believer, but more and more I'm actually starting to think that, yeah, this could become the new normal for Plex. $1 billion for a Plex could just become the new normal price for them. Let me know in the comments. I'm pretty sure some of you guys will have your ideas on that as well. But moving on to minerals then. Let's start off here with titanium. I'll go for the 1 month chart to have a quick look at the details. And I'll write down like 535 for that. So again, bouncing up, but maintaining a price of, I would say on average, 555, 560, something in between there. So let's have a quick look at supply and demand here. $1 billion for the sellers, $1 billion for the buyers, 400 million, 200 million, 250, 250, 865, and here one for 900 million. So it looks to me like, although the movements in volume I think are pretty big, this does look decently balanced. And so I think I also expected this last week that we would actually start to see a more of a sideways movement, at least until RIA. It does look like we are in calmer waters for some of those high-sec minerals here, with supply coming in to take advantage of the higher prices compared to what it was like 6 months ago, but still substantial demand for people building stuff, and thus the price is maintained at, I would say, around 560 on average over the course of the week. Now, someone actually did notify me that in Amar something special has been happening, where pretty much all titanium was bought out, and so yeah, prices in Amar actually went up to above 7 ISK. So the local market can fluctuate or can be quite different from what you're seeing here in Jita, but Jita is by far the largest market in EVE Online at the moment. We never know if Terra might take over, but I don't expect it to. So yeah, in Amar it looks like someone probably made a move on titanium there and pushed it way up there. But here in Jita, I would say it's looking like a well-supplied market and a sideways movement at the moment. So let's have a look at the pyrite chart here. It's close to breaking out, but if this last data point is actually the start of a correction, I would say that we are also looking at a sideways movement on a 1 month period from 11 ISK to 1120. May not look like much, but it is a little bit up. And the question is, where is it going to go from here? So for that, we'll look at supply and demand. Supply 120, 100, 100 here. 390, it's one bigger order, but a lot of the recent ones are actually smaller than this. And so I actually think that this is going to turn around here, come back down a little bit, and stay well within the like 11.11 to 11.2 ISK price band. Pyrite to me looks like it's decently flat. Next up we've got Mexalon. Mexalon is actually making a little bit of a correction from 71 ISK down to 59 over the course of 1 month. So have a quick look at the 3 month chart to give some perspective. You can see there was quite a substantial rise from Mexalon, starting 3 months ago at 54, still holding at like 58. So we're back pretty much at that price. And maybe if I take a quick look at the 6 month chart, you can actually see that 6 months ago we were at around 50 ISK, a nice increase in price for Mexalon, and now a little bit of a correction. I think is actually a normal and healthy situation here, not something completely unexpected. And let's have a look at supply demand then. Yeah, we definitely have 34 million, 70 million, 70 million coming in here, but it looks like it might actually start to end, because a pretty big order of 94 million units of Mexalon is standing right here, very recent as well, ready to actually stop this decrease in price. And you can also see it flattening out at around 59 ISK right here at the tail end. So I do think that Mexalon was in for a correction if we consider how big and how steep the rise was, but that now it could actually start to come in line with titanium and pyrite and start to move sideways. Because now there's a little bit more demand than supply from this one big order, and after that I actually do think if we look at this 17, 12, 20, 17, 14, the numbers here are much more balanced than what we have in like a few months ago. So yeah, looking to me like most of these will start to move sideways. And here again, this is Isogen starting the month at 118, ending the month at just below 117. So I would say that this is looking again like a normal market with decent supply, decent demand as well, that can maintain its price for now. 27 million, the other ones are like 274, below 10 million, and here we have 3.6, 3, 11, 2, 2, and one big order of 39. That's actually going to stop any downward momentum a little bit. So yeah, again here Isogen, I'm seeing the same thing. Where a few months ago we were clearly in much more demand than supply, and prices of most high-sec minerals have been going up quite substantially. Here it does look like we're hitting a point where everything is much more stable and in line with one another, and so stable prices for high-sec minerals is what I'm seeing at the moment. Moving on to the null-sec ones, it's probably going to be a different story. Let's start with Noxium, which can still be mined in high-sec, but in much lower quantities. Most of it probably comes from other space, and here we do see that it's looking like Noxium has finally hit a bottom. It doesn't want to break 530 from the looks of this chart. If I give you guys a 6-month chart, you can actually see a serious correction over 6 months with just one small break in between. But yeah, starting 6 months ago above 740, ending at like 530, and it looks to me like there is a bottom here, but if with supply like this, still 1 million units coming in, it's going to be very hard to gamble whether or not this bottom of like 530 is going to be able to hold. I wouldn't put any bet any money on it, honestly. So let's have a look then at Zydrine, which is another one of those null-sec minerals. 6-month chart here again, you can see the crash. If I go for the 1-year chart, I think you'll see it even better. Look at that. Coming from a very high point of 800 ISK a year ago, and now half the price. Over here you can see, let's go for the 1-month chart, that again there is a bottom forming, you know, above 420, doesn't want to break 420, but the downward pressure is definitely there because supply still is coming in here. Look at that, 6.4 million units. Less than 24 hours ago, 1.4 million units, 1 million units here again. All of that is still putting downward pressure, so doesn't look like there's going to be a breakout anytime. It's more balanced than what it was before, although it's always been a little bit different from the high-sec minerals to gauge supply demand here. Because these are the more expensive minerals, it's usually the sell orders that actually dictate the price of these minerals, and so we've got a very small margin. Supply demand is looking balanced, but I would say there is still a threat of downward pressure here at the moment, unless demand starts to pick up for these minerals or supply dries up for some reason. Let's have a look then at Megasite, which is the most expensive one, or used to be. Well, it's still the most expensive one, but it's not as expensive as it used to be. Let me show you guys like the 6-month charts. It used to be like 1600 ISK almost for Megasite, and we're currently looking at sell orders of 714, so that is extremely low. Supply demand again looks okay, you know, 5 million, 3.4 million, 3.6 and 3 million here, but it's very difficult to tell what the price is going to do from supply demand in these products, because as I've said, these goods usually have to come from dangerous space into JITA, and so it's the sellers that can normally dictate their price, but it looks like there's just so much competition in between them that there's a lot of downward pressure. And it flirted with 700 ISK a few weeks ago, and now it's holding just above that, and so it's really hard to say what these null-sec minerals are going to do short term. I would say probably it's a personal opinion, so don't put any money on that, but I think considering what the high-sec minerals have been doing, that everything is finally starting to calm down after like the cryos changes. I think the industry changes may have had a big impact on this, the reprocessing changes and the compression changes. All of this probably has had a huge impact on the entire mineral market. That was like last summer, and I think we're finally starting to see the situation stabilize a little bit. So I would not be surprised if, just like it was looking like the high-sec minerals are moving into a sideways movement, the null-sec ones may do so as well on these very low prices. So yeah, there you go guys, the mineral market, pretty interesting, but that's my take on it. I think we're going to start to see some more normalized sideways movement with fluctuations that are well within range for a normal daily market trading and stuff like that. Let's take a look at the impact on Tech One chips then. 1510 is what I'll write down for that. And let's have a look here. Caracal, I added a few of them here, and I deleted a few from the Tech 2 ships just to balance that out a little bit more. But the Tech 1 ships have actually been able to maintain a very stable situation since the crisis release, the changes to industry, and it's not looking like that's going away anytime soon. Here the Caracal smack on its 10.4 20-day moving average, start the month just below that, ending the month just on that, so that's looking quite okay. Supply demand here, we've got 98 of them coming in. The other suppliers are in much smaller quantities, below 10 or just above 10, and the demand 20, 10, 42, 10, 10. So yeah, pretty much a balanced situation around 10 million ISK for a Caracal. Let's have a look at the Dominic's chart on 1 month. Again, a little bit down for the month, and the 20-day moving average also moving down ever so slowly. Let's have a look at the 3-month chart though. On 3 months this is pretty much stable, and keep in mind this this top here is only at 192 with the bottom at like 178, 176, average price of 185, something like that for a Dominic's. A little bit above that, a little bit below that, but this is not a drastic rise and fall of the Dominic's or anything like that. People have been able to maintain a very stable price. Supply demand here, 43 of them, that's a pretty big order, probably putting some pressure on the price, but 10 here, 9 here, yeah, supply is here. Oh, actually that's buy order, so putting a little bit of a floor, I should say, on the price, but the supply is here as well. 10, 9, 6 of them here. Those are 3 orders that are pretty recent and decent in number to make up for that. So yeah, I think all of these are looking quite okay. Let's have a look at 3-month Drake chart again, starting at 44 million, ending at 47 million. A little bit of variety, of course, in the charts. This is not super stable, but staying within 43 to 50 million for 3 months, I think does indicate a very stable market. Supply demand here again, you can see the usual numbers are just below 10 units for these battle cruisers, and it's looking like both on the supply and on the demand side it's there, so that's looking quite okay. A new one here, the Myrmidon, let's have a look at that. Yeah, again, you know, I'm still seeing that same thing on 3 months, starting at 49, ending at like 48 million ISK. Not too big a deal. Yeah, sure, there are 2 spikes in there, but up to 54 million for a Myrmidon, it's not like that's a huge spike either. Whereas, you know, the mineral market, that was obviously a sustained situation. The plex market, much more sustained, much more drastic in its percentages as well. And are we looking at, no, we're actually not looking at that high prices, and we're still looking at a big supply here, 53,987. So there is some downward pressure on the Myrmidon. But once this supply dries up, I do think that this will actually correct back a little bit. So yeah, looking okay. Next up, the Rupture, a Minmatar cruiser. I think this speaks pretty well for a stable situation. I mean, the Myrmidon a little bit down with some downward pressure. Here the Rupture starting at 8 million, ending at almost 10 million. The chart does indicate a very stable situation. Supply demand 1086.74 here, 1427.48 on some of these buy orders as well. So yeah, it's all looking quite okay. And here is the Talos, one that I can produce, starting at 68, ending at 68 with a little bit of a spike here up to 82. This can indicate that maybe a Gnostic Alliance all of a sudden bought a big Talos fleet at that point, but as you can see, supply is here to respond, 100 here, 100 there on the demand side as well. So while on some of them, you know, these are pretty big numbers. 100 units, Myrmidon here again 53 units, 87 units here. There is maybe a little downward pressure on some of them, but if demand for these ships can pick up just a little bit, this is going to come right back in line with most of the other ones. So I would say Tech 1, yeah, being able to maintain a very stable situation since crisis and still doing so, with maybe a little downward pressure, a little oversupply in a few of them. Next up, we've got Tech 2 ships, and I'll write down 20 minutes for that. So I deleted the command ships from this and I went with all of the logistics cruisers. Let's take a 6-month chart here. Look at that nice little spike on the Basilisk here, but it's been almost 6 months. Starting below 160, breaking out up until 185, going way back down here. So this is like a 20 to 25 million jump on a 160 million good or ship, and that's more than 10%. This happens in a matter of days, and so this is where the trade money is made. Compare that to those Tech 1 ships. Those rises were way slower than that, and then also a lot smaller in percentage points. After this, it did go down to almost 150 and then back up to 175. That was a little bit slower, and so I would say that the Basilisk market has slowed down a little bit. I would not be actively trading at the moment. It's like sitting at 165, something like that, and it needs to go back down like below 160 or below 155. Those seem to be triggers for the price to really increase explosively quite a little bit more, and it's these spikes that you're seeing here about the 1st of July that we're really looking for some trade opportunities in this Tech 2 market. This is the Guardian. This is one of my favorites, I would say, that I've rediscovered. I always used to look at Tech 2 logistics. When Tech 1 logistics came in, it looked like those markets were really stabilizing and coming out of favor. But this is wonderful. Over 6 months, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 pretty big spikes. Every time the triggers were either below 130 or below 135. Jumping up to like 170. That's 40 million on a ship that you could have bought for 130 million. That's like a third of the price in profit. That's pretty damn awesome. Yeah, Guardian, very nice for some active trading. This is the Houndin. I'm seeing 3 spikes here, a pretty big one up to 25 at the moment. It touched on 18 a few weeks ago, but the big spike didn't materialize so much. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see a little bit where the Hound goes at the moment. Still staying just below 20 million, but I don't know, I would not invest in these anymore. The buy opportunity close to 18 million is probably over. This is the Manticore chart then. As you can see, decently spiky here as well, with a small bottom here at 19 million taking off, but being dragged back down again. When you have made your move on a buy opportunity, is very important to also, or if you plan to make a move, I should say, on a buy opportunity, you should also take a look at supply demand, because yeah, an upward movement may just get stifled by a lot of supply. Next up here is the Nemesis. Yeah, try to break out here again. This is still a movement from, I would say, 19.5 million up to 23 million, so that it is not bad for a ship that only costs 19 million, but it's not as big, I think, as what we've seen on the Guardian chart. And here the Nemesis, yeah, a little bit hesitant, but it's a nice little spike. There was definitely some trade money to be made on this one. Here is the Nighthawk. Oh, did I leave one command ship? Alright, I left one command ship, the Nighthawk, staying way too high for me to actually invest in it, way too stable also to say that there's any trade opportunities in this. So maybe we'll just keep the Nighthawk, keep one eye on it. If it really starts to come back down to where it was 6 months ago or a year ago, maybe it could be interesting to go back to those command ships. Here is the Oneros chart. The first half of these 6 months looked pretty good, jumping from 150 to 180, breaking 150, going as high as almost 210 million, then correcting way back to 160, a little bit more stable here, another touching of 140, probably a nice buying opportunity, and it's been stable in the last few weeks, so be careful for the Oneros, but you can see in the first half of these 6 months that trade opportunities do exist in the Oneros as well. This is the Purifier chart. That's a little bit better. Look at that, breaking 17.5 million, almost as low as 17 million. I probably called that buy opportunity, jumping up to 20 million, 3 million increase in price in a matter of days. For a ship that you only need to invest 17 million in, not bad, I think, for some quick trade cash. And here is the Scimitar, a very nice chart. I like the Scimitar and I like the Guardian. 1, 2, a little bit of sustained spike here, a double spike, and then again working on a new one, so that's pretty damn nice. The trigger seems to be 145, something like that, so starting at 140, jumping up to 165, back down to 145, up to 170, stay there for a little bit, but then crashing down below 140 and back up to 175 with a double spike, and then back down to 140. This is where the trade money gets made if you see a chart like that, and it's doing the same right here at the tail end for its fourth one. So yeah, the Scimitar and a lot of these Tech 2 ships, in my opinion, very good for active traders that are looking for short-term and medium-term gains on some of their investments. Pretty good stuff. Let's move on to the Tech 3 market then. 25.50 for that. Let me see here. This is the Legion. We had a major spike last week in the Tengu. The Legion here still up, you know, for the month from 135 to 165. Let's have a look at supply demand. That's actually looking okay. 30 and 10. The more recent ones are very small in number. So the Legion is doing okay. For some reason, oversupply in the Legion seems to be gone. This is the Loki, pretty much a similar chart up to 170. Let's have a look at supply demand here. Again, there are a few orders of 40 and 29, but the other ones are smaller, so it's kind of weird in my opinion, because I think that the oversupply is a little bit structural in the Tech 3 ships. It's just been going on for so long. Let's have a look at the Proteus chart. Again, also taking off, and supply demand here 1310. The other numbers are quite smaller, so it's looking alright as well. And this is then the Tengu, also heading towards 190. Supply demand though 150, 67, 19. This is more what I was expecting. These big sell orders to come back here, and this is going to put some downward pressure on the Tengus for sure for the next week or so, but the other ones look pretty healthy and I'm quite surprised by that. So does this mean that the oversupply situation is gone? I think we'll need a few weeks before we can know that, yeah, it's good to finally see those Tech 3 ships no longer hovering at their all-time lows for like 125, 120 or 130, something like that. They're back in at least somewhat healthier territory, but I'm surprised that in the Legion, the Loki and the Proteus, it does look like there's an immediate response by the suppliers. Whereas with the Tengu, look at that, it did break out a lot more substantially, almost 200 million, but the supply is right back here with 150 and 67 units as the two latest orders vying for the lowest price here. So yeah, I think we have to wait a little bit on this Tech 3 market. If by next week we're seeing those big numbers come again for the other three, I would say the downward pressure is still on, and so a slow correction may be in the cards for them. At least that's my personal expectation. And then for the extra products 2810, I'm going to take a look at some Tech 2 drones. This was a request from, let's take the 6-month chart for that, or maybe the 1-year chart. This is the Tengu chart. Look at that, pretty big spike, but yeah, Tengus used to be like 300 million or so a few years ago, and this has been sustained up until this bottom right here, 130, again coming to 130, and this is a major spike. We'll have to see if this is sustained, but let's move on to those Tech 2 drones. This was a request from a few weeks ago, so let's start maybe with some of the light ones. Honestly, here, ooh, look at that, pretty big crash. That happened right at the beginning of August. Look at that, 420 and then way down to 280. Hornets, well, that's actually looking a little bit different. Then the Warrior, very popular PvP drone because it's the fastest. Also that same crash in August, so this could be due to the invention changes. This is the Acolyte then, not so much a response. Or is it drone changes that that caused it? I'm not entirely sure. Let's maybe look at the heavy drones because those are the most expensive. Berserker, oh, that's a lot higher. Starting 6 months ago at 550. Now almost 1 million for a Berserker 2. This is the Ogre chart. Okay, quite big spiky behavior on some of this. Starting at 0.85 million, ending at 0.94 million, so up a little bit. This is the Praetor, also starting at 0.6, almost 1.4 million, yeah, around 1.2 million, almost a doubling in price for the Praetor. And this is the Wasp. This very interesting chart. At least some of these. What I'm quite surprised by is how there are major differences between the types of drones. So the Galente drones have their own thing. Then the Minmatar drones can do something completely different. I'm actually a little bit baffled by this. This is then the Hammerhead 2. Over 6 months, actually staying at around 620 with ups and downs. Infiltrator 2. Yeah, that's these MR drones starting at 350k, almost doubled in price. Some of these MR drones, that's pretty amazing. This is the Valkyrie, up a little bit, but not by that much. And then this is the Vespa, also up substantially. Let me go back to those heavy drones here, and let's take the Praetor. This is the MR one, yeah, almost doubled in price. And this is the Caldari one from 1.2 to 1.4 million. Yeah, interesting. Let's maybe touch on the Sentry drones here as well. That one actually started way up here, the Bouncer 2, and ended up down, but yeah, difficult chart to read here. This is the Curator, very nice for some active traders, some of these spikes I think, although it's on a different scale from ships of course. But this is nice and spiky. This is then the Guard 2, down actually, and this is the Warden 2, starting at 1.2 and then stable. So yeah, the scout drones, the normal combat drones that are mostly used, I'm seeing the MR ones way up in price, the Caldari ones up as well, but not by that much, and then the Ogre 2 and the Berserker 2, oh, way up as well for the Minmatar one. So yeah, I'm seeing serious differences between the types of drones, and I have no idea actually what triggered this. So very good suggestion. I may need to do some homework on the Stick-to drone market and see what happened there. It's possible that it's invention, because that has changed substantially. It's possible that it's the drone rebalancing that has changed as well, with faction drones becoming pretty powerful, Tech 1 drones closing the gap in performance on a lot of them. It could have a lot of reasons. So if you have any explanation for some of the differences, you know, between, let's say, all of the Minmatar drones seems to be way up across the board, but some of the Galente drones are much more stable, the medium drones much less pronounced as well, stuff like that. If you have any explanation, feel free to post that in the comments, because I'm actually a little bit baffled by some of this. This is a very, very good suggestion. I need to do some homework on the Tech-2 drones and what happened in that market. So there you go guys, this is it for Eve Talk. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all next time.